Hey friends, and welcome back to another episode of r/EntitledPeople. We got some more Reddit stories to check out today, so be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into it, guys. Entitled House Cleaner brings her children. Children trash my home. Gotta put this one out here. Most absurd entitled person situation I've personally encountered. My husband and I look to hire a local husband and wife small business to clean and do maintenance projects on our house before our baby comes in a few weeks. They came by tonight to take a look at the projects, and surprise, brought their 3 elementary-age children. No biggie, I thought. Not ideal, but I like children, and like the idea of our home being a welcoming place for them. We'll let it go. We opened the door and the children scattered. All 3 took off screaming in a different direction with their shoes on. One ended up in my bedroom, and 2 on different ends of the living room, where they all 3 started pulling my daughter's carefully organized, orderly toys off the shelves at an extremely rapid pace. Well, they sure made themselves at home, the mom beamed. They sure love your house. I tried to orient the parents quickly so they would leave ASAP, and the oldest child noticed our loft, which is our playroom/library, and is also carefully organized and decorated with love, with various handcrafted elements, and they all raced upstairs. We have 4 kids of our own, but managed to mostly keep things orderly. Each toy has a place. We have some small and breakable pieces from my and my husband's childhood. All the books are shelved alphabetically in categories. All 3 children started shrieking at the side of the room. I was trying to wrap up discussion with the mom. Then the stomping started, and the clanging. Sounded like jumping off furniture. I paused for the mom to say something, but she didn't even bat an eyelash. Then came a crash that could only have been furniture falling over. Mom again didn't so much as comment. My husband ran upstairs alarmed. The youngest one, 4 maybe, then raced down needing to go potty urgently. 3 of our 4 bathrooms need service, which is why we were hiring these people. So the only bathroom available was our master bath, where we have chicks and an incubator. As I showed the child where to go, she got distracted by the chicks and screamed to the older kids upstairs to come and see now. So the older 2 came barreling and yelling, shoes on, through my bedroom and bathroom, and the small one didn't quite make it to the toilet in the excitement. This all happened in the 15 minutes I thought we'd be quickly introducing the adult contractors to the projects and negotiating pay. This was bizarre and horrible, I thought, but we'll just have them do the job tomorrow and not work with them again. But then, 2 of the kids started to tantrum when it was time for them to leave, notably without putting away a single toy they had disassembled and strewn about. Mom says, "It's okay, we'll be back so you can play more with them tomorrow." What the f***? She was expecting to bring the children and leave them unsupervised in my home. Or maybe she expected me to provide childcare, while she performed tasks clearly unsafe for children and closed off rooms for 7 hours. Of course, we are canceling. I'm almost too shocked to even be upset. I just checked upstairs and found a shelf of books partially toppled. Every toy in the living room is in pieces on the floor. Pee is not in the toilet. It happened so fast, I just can't. What? Now my first thought about this was, what did OP say to the parents about why she canceled? And OP explains in a comment responding to someone that was wondering the same thing. The commenter said, "I would be so livid. Oh my god, did you say anything to these people after about why you're canceling? They need to know." And OP responds, "God, I'm going to get reamed for it here, I bet. But I am so non-confrontational. Especially in such a wildly unexpected situation unfolding so rapidly, I just freeze. I didn't say anything to them." So I do get that OP was taken off guard and didn't even have time to come up with the words to explain how this was absolutely unacceptable. But it is still disappointing because the parents do need to hear it. And sure, I think some parents get a bit desensitized to their own kids' craziness, but that's still no excuse for being totally oblivious about how your own kids' out-of-control behavior affects others, in someone else's home no less. These parents really need a wake-up call. A new manager was older than me, so knew the best way to run an event. I used to work part-time for my university running student events. Experience is the best teacher. I'd participated in these events as a student, assisted in these events under someone else as part of my scholarship, and as a staff member ran the events myself. We had a new college head who was much older, approximately 50 to 60, while everyone else was in their early 20s. This woman was the most pig-headed, arrogant fool you can imagine. Despite being new, she wouldn't sit back and observe how things worked, or listen to those on our team who'd been there for years. No matter what you told her when she announced something that wouldn't work or would cause problems, the answer was the same. I'm older, so I know best. Didn't matter if it would take you longer to do it her way, or in one case, if it was technically illegal. Of course, mistakes that we'd warned her would happen were always someone else's fault or swept under the carpet. During event planning, one look at the schedule told me she hadn't allocated the team properly. In the email exchange, I said, probably not a good idea to have the whole team in an hour before the event, most of them standing around doing nothing. Best to get 5 or so people in for setup, most of the team in for running the event, and hold back another 3 or 4 for cleanup. And the college head responds, no, I want everyone in helping out equally an hour before the event. They're only meant to do 2 hours of work per event. If you have them an hour early for a 2-hour event, that's 3 hours. They'll all leave before cleanup. The slackers will slack off and the proactives will end up doing everything. I'm older than you, I know best. Just do as you're told. Fine, but I've got some personal business to do directly after the event. I'll handle procurement and setup, but we'll need to leave right after the event is over. That's fine. On to other business. Day of the event, the whole team showed up an hour before for setup. As expected, 5 or so did all the setup work, while most of the team stood around on their phones. Some even got bored and wandered off. It was not the team members' fault for standing around. Only so many people can do meal prep and set up tables without getting in each other's way. 10 minutes before the event, college head shows up, and everything is running smoothly. The event was a lot of fun. Some of the team continued to wander off. Some ran the event, some participated. I was running around as a gopher, letting the college head take credit for the event in front of everyone. Not doing any work, mind you, but taking credit for it. I made sure to remind her I had to leave right at the end of the event for personal business, in front of the other colleague heads, several times. To be extra spiteful, I neglected to stop several team members from wandering off, who'd done no work other than stand around talking and eating, and encouraged several other people who'd definitely done 2 hours of work to call it a night and thanked them for their help. Forgetful me, I also didn't tell team members standing around during events to start cleaning up as things were finishing. All the free food was gone, all the games were over. Both students and team members were wandering off into the night. And all of a sudden, wait, where are you going? There's so much mess, and we've got to put away all the tables and tidy up all the different games, but everyone has left, said the college head. Yes, we probably should have saved up a few team members to do cleanup, but they've already done their 2 hours. Anyway, like I told you earlier, I've got some personal business to attend to directly after the event, so I'll see you tomorrow. What personal business is it? This will take over an hour to do, all on my own. I'm sorry, but I said personal business because I wasn't comfortable discussing with you or the team about what it was, as it really is quite personal and I'm going to be late. I wandered off home for my personal business of closing all my curtains and playing Xbox in my underwear, chuckling at the thought of that arrogant woman having to do all that work by herself. The formal complaint she put in for me leaving didn't really go anywhere, as I just forwarded the email exchange to management. Sadly, pig-headed people are pig-headed because they don't learn no matter what. I eventually quit, and a few months later was introduced to my replacement's replacement, who was also ready to quit. Entitled mom demands my first-class seat on a flight and causes a mid-air commotion. I, a 32-year-old male, was on a flight from New York to Los Angeles, and had booked a first-class seat for myself. I was looking forward to a comfortable flight, when a woman, mid-30s, and her young daughter, around 7 or 8 years old, approached me. "Excuse me, that's my seat," the woman said, pointing to my first-class seat. "No, it's not," I replied, showing her my boarding pass. I booked this seat and paid extra for it. "Well, my daughter is tired and needs to rest," the woman said, ignoring my explanation. "You can just sit and coach." I was surprised by her audacity, but I held firm. "I'm sorry, but I'm not giving up my seat." The woman then began to raise her voice, attracting the attention of the flight attendants and other passengers. She started shouting and demanding that I give up my seat, saying that her daughter needed it more than I did. As the commotion escalated, other passengers started to chime in, some supporting me, and others supporting the entitled mom. The flight attendants tried to calm everyone down, but it was clear that this situation was quickly spiraling out of control. Eventually, the captain in his 50s came over to try to resolve the issue. The entitled mom kept insisting that her daughter needed the first-class seat more than I did, and she wouldn't stop shouting and making a scene. The captain tried to reason with her, but she was having none of it. She started to become aggressive and physical, grabbing at my bag and trying to pull me out of the seat. At this point, the flight attendants had to intervene and physically restrain the entitled mom. It was a chaotic scene, with the passengers shouting and the entitled mom continuing to struggle against the flight attendants. Finally, the captain announced that if the entitled mom didn't calm down and return to her own seat, he would be forced to make an emergency landing. This seemed to get through to the entitled mom, and she finally backed down. She slumped back into her own seat, still muttering and grumbling. The rest of the flight was tense and uncomfortable, with everyone on edge, and the entitled mom glaring at me every chance she got. When we finally landed in Los Angeles, I was relieved to be off the plane and away from the drama. Looking back on it, I can't believe how entitled and aggressive some people can be. It was a truly scary experience, and I hope that I never have to go through something like that again. What's really shocking to me about this, aside from the obvious, is the fact that some passengers were on the entitled mom's side, thinking that OP was in the wrong for not giving up the first-class seat that they paid for. Like, okay, if that's the case, then why don't you give up your seat? How I got back at a pushy guy on a bad first date. When I was 18 years old 10 years ago, I was doing the online dating thing. I live in the US and am about 15 minutes from the Canadian border. My date and I went to Canada together on a first date, because I couldn't drink in the US but could in Canada, and we wanted to go to a bar/casino. He picked me up in his little sports car, and we rode together through the border crossing and to the casino. We played some games and had some drinks and were having a decent time. I got to a point where I was decently drunk, and knew if I had any more alcohol I would be out of commission. I told my date I was done drinking and wanted to start heading home. Instead of listening to me, he went and got us both another round of drinks, and he handed me a big Long Island iced tea. I told him point blank I couldn't drink it because I was at my limit. He didn't take too kindly to that and got pushy. He told me, "You have to drink it. I bought it for you. If you don't drink it, you're going to make me waste money." No matter how many times I told him no, he continued to push me on this. I got very frustrated and upset because I was alone with this pushy man in another country, and I was very upset with myself for getting into this situation. We argued for a while, and eventually I snapped and formulated a little plan. He agreed to take me home after I finished the drink. I took the drink from him and chugged it. We got into his car and started for the border. It's important to note that this guy was very proud of his car. He spent the whole drive to the border telling me about all the features and how much he loved it. I spent the whole drive ignoring him and focusing on keeping my sick stomach under control. My goal was to make it through the border crossing at least, which was proving pretty difficult. We did eventually make it through the border crossing, and as soon as we made it back to the US, I turned in my seat to look him in the eyes and I told him, "I didn't appreciate how you forced alcohol down my throat after I repeatedly told you no. I know my limits and you ignored and disrespected me. I said I couldn't drink more for a reason." Then, while maintaining direct eye contact with him, I started vomiting in his car. I knew this was coming and specifically oriented myself to cause as much damage as possible. I threw up on the seat, the floor, the dash, etc. He was freaking out and I just started crying and telling him this was his fault and he could either take me home or let me out of the car now, but I will call the police if he doesn't proceed with one of the two options. He dropped me off at home and I never saw him again. That's going to be it for today, everyone. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. And also, subscribe to the channel for more. So I'm out of here, take care, and I'll see you next time.